The big spaceship appeared in the sky without warning. 1 minute, the morning sky over Seoul was clear blue. The next minute, a huge dark shape blocked the sun. The shadow it cast covered the entire city center. Captain Dae-ho Kim was eating breakfast when the emergency alert made his phone buzz. He grabbed it quickly, still holding his toast in one hand. "This is Kim," he answered. "Captain, you need to come in now." It was Admiral Tae-young. Her voice was steady, but Dae-ho could hear the tension in it. "Turn on your TV." Dae-ho reached for the remote and turned on the news. The screen showed the massive ship hanging over the city. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. The surface gleamed with strange colors that shifted in the sunlight. It was not like metal or glass, but something else entirely. "I'll be there in 15 minutes, he said, already moving to grab his uniform. The United Earth Defense Force Command Center was in chaos when Dae-ho arrived. Screens around the room showed similar ships over New York, London, Beijing, and a dozen other major cities worldwide. People rushed back and forth, shouting orders and updates. In the middle of it all stood Admiral Tae-young, her silver-streaked hair pulled back tightly, giving commands with a calm voice that made others listen. "Captain Kim, good, come here," she said when she spotted him. She led him to a smaller room where several other officers waited around a table. "What do we know?" Dae-ho asked. "They call themselves the Tavarans," said General Jun-ho, pointing to a screen that showed a strange creature. It stood on 2 legs but was much taller than a human. Its body looked like a mix between an insect and a reptile, with a hard outer shell and multiple limbs. The head had large, compound eyes that reflected light in many directions. "They sent this image with their first message an hour ago." "What did they say?" Dae-ho asked. "They said they've been watching Earth for years. They've decided it's time to make contact," replied Tae-young. "They want to meet with world leaders right away." "Do we have any idea what they want?" Jun-ho shook his head. "No, but they have positioned ships over every major military base too. They know exactly where our forces are." A young lieutenant rushed into the room. "Admiral, we're receiving a new transmission from the ship over Seoul. They're asking specifically for military representatives to join the meeting." Tae-young's eyes met Dae-ho's. "Looks like you're coming with me to the UN, Captain." The United Nations building in New York was surrounded by police and military vehicles. People crowded the streets nearby, some protesting, some praying, many just watching the huge ship that hung silently in the sky. Dae-ho looked up at it as their car drove past security checkpoints. It was even more impressive up close, at least 2 kilometers across, blocking out a large part of the sky. Inside, the main assembly hall was filled with world leaders and their advisors. The room buzzed with nervous conversation. Dae-ho and Tae-young took their seats with other military officials near the front. A hush fell over the room as a side door opened. 3 tall Tavarans entered, each at least 7 feet tall. Their hard, outer shells were a deep blue-green color with patterns that seemed to shift as they moved. They walked on 2 legs, but had 4 arms. Their movements were quick and precise. The center Tavaran approached the podium. When it spoke, a mechanical voice translated its clicks and whistles. "I am Commander Kral of the Tavaran Collective," it said. "We have come to assess your world for possible inclusion in our alliance of planets." The UN Secretary-General stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth. We are honored to be considered for your alliance." The Tavaran's head tilted in what might have been amusement. "The honor is not yet earned. We must first determine if your species meets our standards." The creature's compound eyes seemed to scan the room. "We have studied your broadcasts for many years. Your world is divided into nations that often fight each other. This is inefficient. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. But we see potential in your species." Dae-ho felt a chill when those alien eyes passed over him. There was something in the way the creature spoke, a tone that the translator couldn't hide. It was speaking as if to children. "We request a demonstration of your military capabilities," Commander Kral continued. "We wish to understand your level of development." The world leaders looked at each other in confusion. The U.S. president stood up. "May I ask why this is necessary?" "It is our standard procedure when meeting new species," replied Kral. We must know if you can defend yourselves or if you need our protection. We must know if you could be valuable allies in our ongoing conflicts with other spacefaring races. The room erupted in whispers. Tae-young leaned close to Dae-ho. They want to know if we're worth bothering with or if we'd be easy to conquer. Dae-ho nodded. And they're not trying very hard to hide it. After some discussion, the world leaders agreed to the demonstration, to be held the next day at a remote testing site in the Nevada desert. As the meeting broke up, Dae-ho watched the Tavarans leave. The aliens moved with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. One of the Tavarans turned its head as it passed by where Dae-ho stood. For a moment, their eyes met. The alien made a clicking sound that the translator didn't catch. But Dae-ho didn't need a translation. He recognized dismissal when he saw it. That night, in a secure room beneath the Pentagon, Dae-ho sat with military leaders from around the world. Maps and satellite images covered the screens on the walls. They positioned their ships perfectly to target our major power centers, said General Ji-won Park of South Korea. If they wanted to attack, they could cripple our defenses in minutes. Maybe that's the point of this demonstration, said a Russian general. They want to see our weapons so they know exactly what they're up against. I think they already know, Dae-ho said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. They've been watching us for years, studying our broadcasts. They already know what weapons we have. This demonstration isn't for them to learn about us. Then what's it for? Asked Tae-young. It's for us to learn about them, Dae-ho replied. They want us to see how advanced they are. They want us to understand that we can't win against them. A heavy silence fell over the room. So what do we do? Ji-won finally asked. Admiral Tae-young's eyes narrowed. We give them the demonstration they asked for. We show them exactly what they expect to see. She looked at Dae-ho. But we don't show them everything. Dae-ho nodded slowly, understanding. They're confident because they think they know all about us, but they've never fought humans before. And that, said Tae-young with a small smile, might be their biggest mistake. The Nevada desert was hot, even in the early morning. The sun beat down on the dry, cracked earth. A line of military vehicles stretched across the flat landscape. Soldiers set up equipment while officers checked their notes one last time. Captain, Dae-ho Kim wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at the sky. Right on time, a Tavaran ship appeared above them. It was smaller than the ones over the cities, but still impressive. The ship hovered silently, about half a kilometer above the ground. Here we go, said Admiral Tae-young, standing beside him. Remember the plan. Show them what they expect to see, nothing more. A shuttle detached from the main ship and descended to the ground. It landed gracefully, kicking up a cloud of dust. The door opened, and 5 Tavarans stepped out. General Ji-won Park moved forward to greet them. She was a tall woman with a serious face and perfect posture. Today she wore her full formal uniform with all her medals. Welcome to the Nevada testing range, she said with a small bow. We have prepared a demonstration of Earth's defense capabilities as requested. The lead Tavaran, Commander Kral, looked down at her. We are eager to see what your species considers to be advanced weaponry. Dae-ho noticed the slight emphasis on the word advanced. The aliens weren't even trying to hide their arrogance. General Park kept her face neutral. Please follow me. She led the Tavaran delegation to a viewing platform where they could see the entire testing range. Several human officials were already there, including representatives from Russia, China, and the European Union. We will begin with our standard infantry weapons, General Park announced. At her signal, a group of soldiers demonstrated assault rifles, machine guns, and rocket launchers. They fired at targets, showing the weapon's accuracy and power. When they finished, the Tavarans made clicking sounds to each other. Their translator was off, but the sound seemed like laughter. Is something amusing? General Park asked. Commander Kral turned to her. You still use chemical propellants and metal projectiles. We abandoned such primitive technology thousands of years ago. General Park's smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course, we have more advanced systems to show you. The demonstration continued with tanks, artillery, and attack helicopters. Each time, the Tavarans seemed less impressed. When an M1A3 tank fired its main gun at a target 2 kilometers away, hitting it directly, Commander Krall merely tilted his head. "The accuracy is acceptable, but the power is minimal," he said. "That weapon could not even damage the outer hull of our smallest vessels." Next came aircraft. F-35 fighters screamed overhead, performing complex maneuvers. They launched precision strikes against ground targets and demonstrated air-to-air combat scenarios. "Your aircraft still rely on atmospheric lift," said one of the Tavarans, "and their speed is quaint." Deho watched the aliens carefully. With each demonstration, they revealed a little more about their own technology. The way they dismissed certain weapons told him what they considered important and what they might overlook. After the aircraft, General Park moved to more advanced systems. "This is our newest defensive technology," she said, gesturing to a large device mounted on a truck. "A high-energy laser defense system capable of targeting incoming missiles or aircraft." The laser activated, shooting a bright beam at a drone flying overhead. The drone exploded instantly. For the first time, the Tavarans showed a hint of interest. "You have mastered directed energy weapons," said Commander Krall, "though their power levels are still quite low." "We have one more system to demonstrate," said General Park. "If you would please return to the shuttle for safety reasons, we will move to a secure bunker for this last presentation." The group relocated to an underground facility several kilometers away. From there, they could watch screens showing the test site. A single missile launcher stood alone in the desert. "This is a demonstration of our nuclear capability," General Park explained. "We will detonate a small tactical nuclear device underground to minimize environmental impact." The Tavarans watched without comment as the countdown proceeded. When it reached 0, the missile launched. It flew in a high arc, before striking a designated area 50 kilometers away. The ground shook as a massive explosion sent dirt and rock high into the air. "A fission device," said Commander Krall after a moment. "Interesting, but inefficient. The radiation byproduct makes it impractical for most warfare scenarios." General Park nodded. "That concludes our demonstration. Do you have any questions?" Commander Krall turned to face the human officials. "Your weapons are more developed than some species we have encountered, but less advanced than many others. Your reliance on physical projectiles and chemical explosives is outdated." He paused, his compound eyes reflecting the light strangely. "To be direct, your most powerful weapons would not penetrate even our civilian vessels' basic shielding. We had expected more from a species that has managed to reach your own moon, however briefly." The room fell silent. Deho glanced at Admiral Tae-young, who kept her face carefully blank. "If I may ask," said Deho, speaking for the first time, "what is the purpose of your evaluation?" Commander Krall's head turned toward him. "To determine your place in the galactic community, of course. Some species become valuable allies. Others become protected territories." The meaning was clear. The Tavarans were deciding whether humans deserved respect or would simply be conquered. "And what is your conclusion?" Admiral Tae-young asked. "We will discuss among ourselves and inform your leaders tomorrow," Commander Krall replied. "But I will say that your demonstration has been illuminating." As the aliens left to return to their ship, Deho and Tae-young stepped away from the others. "They're going to attack," Deho said quietly. "They think we're easy targets." Tae-young nodded. "Did you notice how they kept talking about their shields? They're overconfident. They think their defensive technology makes them invulnerable. But they didn't say anything about their offensive capabilities," Deho added. "They wanted us to show our hand, but they revealed almost nothing about their own weapons." "Except one thing," Tae-young said with a small smile. "Did you notice how interested they were in the laser system?" Deho thought back. "Yes. It was the only thing that seemed to surprise them. Which means they understand directed energy weapons, but maybe they don't expect us to have developed them yet." Tae-young's eyes narrowed. "And if they were surprised by that, then they might not know about our other advanced projects," Deho finished. "The ones we kept hidden." Tae-young checked her watch. "We need to contact the president immediately. If the Tavarans are planning to attack, we don't have much time. As they walked back to their transport, Deho looked up at the Tavaran ship still hovering in the sky. The aliens thought they had seen everything humans could do. They thought they understood humanity's capabilities completely. They were wrong. 6 hours after the weapons demonstration, Captain Deho Kim found himself in a helicopter flying over the Rocky Mountains. Admiral Tae-young sat across from him, talking on a secure phone. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the mountains in shades of orange and purple. "The President has given us full authorization," Tae-young said as she ended the call. "Project Silverblade is now active." Deho nodded. Very few people knew about Project Silverblade. It had been kept secret not just from the public, but from most of the military as well. The helicopter descended toward what looked like an empty mountainside. As they got closer, a section of rock slid away, revealing a landing pad. The pilot set the helicopter down with practiced ease. Inside the mountain, Deho and Tae-young walked through a series of checkpoints. At each one, guards checked their IDs, scanned their fingerprints, and tested their DNA. Finally, they stepped into a large elevator. "Level 7, Tae-young said. The elevator began to drop. "Have the Tavarans made any new moves?" Deho asked. "They've called for a meeting with world leaders tomorrow morning," Tae-young replied. "They say they've reached a decision about Earth's place in their alliance." "Do we know what they'll say?" "Our intelligence suggests they're planning to demand our surrender," she said grimly. "They believe we can't fight them." The elevator doors opened to reveal a massive underground complex. Hundreds of people worked at computer stations or moved between different sections of the facility. The space was brightly lit and hummed with energy. A woman with short hair and glasses approached them. She wore a lab coat with the name Dr. Subin on it. "Admiral, Captain, thank you for coming quickly," she said. "We've made a breakthrough." Dr. Subin led them to a large room filled with strange devices. They looked like satellites, but smaller, and with unusual antennas. "These are the quantum disruptors," she explained. "We've confirmed that they work against Tevaran technology." Deho looked at the devices with surprise. "How? We've never encountered their technology before yesterday." "We've been studying the Tevaran ships since they arrived," Subin said. "Their hulls block most scanning methods, but their communications don't. We've learned that they use quantum entanglement for instant communication between ships." Tae-young picked up one of the small devices. "And these can disrupt that?" "Yes," Subin nodded. "Each disruptor creates a field that breaks the quantum link. Once deployed, their ships won't be able to communicate with each other. They'll be isolated." "How many do we have?" Deho asked. 100 units ready for deployment," Subin said. "We can build more, but it takes time." "It's a start," Tae-young said. "What else do we have?" Subin led them to another section of the complex. Here, people sat in strange chairs with helmets covering their heads. The helmets had wires connecting them to computer systems. "This is the Neural Interface Program," Subin explained. "It allows our operators to control multiple drones simultaneously, using just their thoughts." A young man removed his helmet and stood up to greet them. "Captain Admiral, I'm Sergeant Young-ho, lead pilot for the Neural Swarm." "Show them what you can do, Sergeant," Subin said. Young-ho put his helmet back on and closed his eyes. On a large screen, they could see what he saw. A view from 20 different drones, all flying in perfect formation. "The neural link allows one pilot to control up to 30 drones at once," Subin explained. "The Tevarans have no concept of this technology. They believe our weapons require direct human operation." "How many pilots do we have trained?" Tae-young asked. 200, Young-ho answered, removing his helmet again. "All ready for combat." Deho did the math in his head. "That's 6,000 drones." "Yes," Subin said, "and that's not all." She took them to a third area where a team worked at powerful computers. "This is our cyber warfare division," she said, led by Ji-eun, the best hacker on Earth. Ji-eun was a young woman with bright eyes and a serious face. She barely looked up from her screen when they approached. "We've been studying the signals from the Tevaran ships," she said without introduction. "Their computer systems are incredibly advanced, but they have almost no protection against intrusion." "What do you mean?" Deho asked. They've never been hacked before, Ji-un explained. They've never needed cyber defenses because no species they've encountered had the concept of cyber warfare. Their ships have no firewalls, no encryption. Tae-young's eyes widened. So we can just break into their systems? We already have, Ji-un said with a small smile. We've been mapping their network since they arrived. We can shut down their weapons, their engines, even their life support if needed. They showed us their physical technology, Daeho said, understanding now. But they have no idea about our digital capabilities. Exactly, Subin nodded. They think warfare is only about who has the bigger guns. They don't understand that humans fight differently. Admiral Tae-young walked to a large map on the wall. It showed the positions of all the Tavaran ships around Earth. We need to coordinate all 3 programs, she said. The quantum disruptors to isolate their ships, the neural swarm to attack them, and the cyber intrusion to disable their systems from within. Can we be ready by tomorrow? Daeho asked. Subin looked at Young-ho and Ji-un, who both nodded. Yes, she said. We've been preparing for this since they arrived. Good, Tae-young said, because according to our intel, the Tavarans are planning to attack within 48 hours if we don't surrender. We need to strike first. They'll never see it coming, Young-ho said confidently. They think we're primitive. That's their mistake, Daeho replied. They judged us by what we showed them, not by what we kept hidden. Admiral Tae-young turned to face them all. The Tavarans gave us 2 days to surrender or face extinction. We'll be ready in 1. Prepare your teams. Operation Silverblade begins at dawn. As they left the facility, Daeho looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the Tavarans were preparing to conquer Earth. They believed their advanced technology made them invincible. They had no idea what was coming. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They had learned to be creative, to be unexpected. They had learned that sometimes the best weapon isn't the strongest one. It's the one your enemy doesn't know about. Tomorrow, the Tavarans would learn that lesson too. Dawn broke over a quiet Earth. In cities around the world, people waited in fear. The Tavaran ships still hung in the sky, dark and threatening. Their message had been broadcast globally the night before: surrender by noon or face destruction, Induri. The underground base inside the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Tae-young stood before a large screen. It showed the positions of every Tavaran ship. Captain Daeho Kim stood beside her, watching as teams made final preparations. All teams report ready, Admiral, said a young officer. Tae-young nodded. Begin Operation Silverblade. At her command, the entire base went silent. Then, throughout the facility, people began to move with purpose. In one section, Dr. Subin activated the quantum disruptors. In another, Sergeant Young-ho and his neural pilots put on their helmets. At her computer station, Ji-un's fingers flew across the keyboard as she launched her cyber attack programs. First phase, total communications blackout, Tae-young said. Cut Earth off from the Tavarans completely. Across the globe, every radio station, TV channel, and internet connection went dark. Cell phones stopped working. Satellites changed their positions. To the Tavarans watching from their ships, it looked like Earth had suddenly gone completely silent. Commander Kral, aboard the main Tavaran ship over New York, clicked in confusion to his officers. What is happening? Why have they stopped all transmissions? Unknown, Commander, replied his second-in-command. Perhaps they are frightened. Or perhaps they are surrendering, Kral said. Prepare to broadcast our terms again. But before he could give the order, something strange happened. His ship's connection to the other Tavaran vessels began to fail. One by one, the quantum links that allowed instant communication across thousands of kilometers broke down. Status report, Kral demanded. Our quantum network is failing, an officer replied, rushing to check the systems. We are losing contact with all other ships. Impossible, Kral said. The quantum links cannot be broken by any known technology. But they were being broken. High above Earth, hundreds of small satellites had been quietly released from hidden facilities. Each one, created a field that disrupted the delicate quantum connections between the alien ships. For the first time in their long history of conquering other worlds, the Tavaran fleet was unable to coordinate its actions. In the Neural Command Center, Sergeant Young-Ho and his team connected to their drone swarms. Each pilot's mind linked to 30 drones guiding them with thought alone. 6,000 drones hidden in underground bunkers around the world, launched silently into the sky. The drones are designed to absorb radar and light, Subin explained to Daeho. The Tavarans won't see them until it's too late. The drones rose up beneath the alien ships, small and nearly invisible against the Earth. They carried no weapons that the Tavarans would recognize. No missiles, no lasers, no bombs. Instead, each drone was equipped with a specially designed transmitter. Second phase, cyber infiltration, Admiral Tae-young announced. Ji-un, you have control. Ji-un nodded, her face serious as she activated her programs. The drones positioned themselves near each Tavaran ship and began to broadcast specific signals. Signals designed to connect with and infiltrate the alien computers. Aboard the main Tavaran ship, alarms began to sound. Commander, our systems are being accessed, cried an officer. Unknown signals are penetrating our networks. Impossible, Krall said again, but with less certainty this time. Our systems cannot be accessed externally. Block these signals. We cannot, the officer replied, panic in his voice. We have no defenses against this type of intrusion. It is not in our database of attack methods. The Tavarans had never developed firewalls or encryption for their ship's computers. They had never needed to. In all their encounters with other species, no one had ever attempted to hack their systems. The concept of cyber warfare was completely foreign to them. As Ji-un's program spread through the alien networks, they began to take control of critical systems. Engine controls, weapons platforms, navigation systems, one by one they fell under human control. Third phase, system override, Tae-young said. Take control of their ships. In the Neural Command Center, Young-Ho and his pilots received the signal. Through their mental connection to the drones, they accessed the now open Tavaran systems. Their thoughts flowed through the network, seizing control of ship after ship. Commander Krall watched in horror as his bridge lights flickered. The main screen changed, showing an image he did not command. It was a human face, Ji-un, looking directly at him. Commander Krall, she said, her voice calm. Your ships now belong to us. This is impossible, Krall shouted. What trickery is this? Not trickery, Ji-un replied. Just a different kind of warfare than you expected. All across Earth, the same scene played out. On each Tavaran ship, the aliens discovered they no longer controlled their own vessels. Some tried to fight back, to manually override their systems, but it was too late. The systems were designed to be controlled by computer. There were no manual backups. In the command center, Admiral Tae-young watched as the status of each Tavaran ship changed from red to green on her screen. Green meant the ship was under human control. All primary targets secured, reported an officer. We have control of 97% of the Tavaran fleet. And the other 3%? Daeho asked. Smaller vessels, not directly connected. To the main network, the officer explained. They're trying to escape. Tae-young nodded. Let them go. We want some of them to report back what happened here. She turned to face the room full of officers and technicians. Operation Silverblade is a success. The Tavaran threat has been neutralized. A cheer went up from everyone present. After days of fear and tension, they had won. Not with guns or bombs, but with creativity and unexpected tactics. Daeho looked at the screen showing the Tavaran ships now under human control. What happens now? Now, Tae-young said, we dictate our terms to them. On the main Tavaran ship, Commander Krall and his officers were gathered under guard. Humans had boarded the vessel, led by General Ji-won Park. She stood before the alien, commander, her back straight, her face showing no fear. Your invasion has failed, she said simply. Your ships are under our control. Krall's compound eyes reflected the light, as he stared at her. How? You showed us your weapons. They were primitive, ineffective. We showed you what we wanted you to see, Ji-won replied. You thought warfare was only about physical weapons. You never considered that we might fight in ways you couldn't imagine. For the first time, the arrogance was gone from Kral's voice. In its place was something new, respect, tinged with fear. What happens to us now, he asked. That, said Ji-won, will depend on the terms of our peace agreement. 3 days after Operation Silverblade, the United Nations building in New York was filled with people. World leaders sat in their usual places. Military officers and scientists lined the walls. In the center of the room stood a table with humans, on one side and Teverans on the other. Commander Kral looked different now. His once proud posture was slightly bent. His 4 arms were still, not making the confident gestures he had shown before. Next to him stood 2 other Tevaran officers, their blue-green shells dull under the bright lights. Across from them sat President Lee of the United Earth Council, with Admiral Tae-young and Captain Dae-ho Kim on either side. General Ji-won Park stood behind them, watching the aliens carefully. We are here to discuss the terms of peace between Earth and the Tevaran Collective, President Lee said. His voice was calm, but firm. 3 days ago, you demanded our surrender. Today, the situation has changed. Kral's compound eyes reflected the light as he looked at the humans. You concealed your true capabilities from us, he said. His translator made his voice sound flat. This is not how species normally interact in galactic diplomacy. Dae-ho leaned forward. We showed you exactly what you expected to see, he said. You came to our world assuming we were primitive because our physical weapons aren't as advanced as yours. You decided we were weak before you truly understood us. We have conquered 17 worlds, Kral replied. All had similar levels of technology to yours. All surrendered when they saw our power. But none of them fought the way we did, Tae-young said, because none of them had to develop the kinds of warfare we have. President Lee nodded. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned that sometimes the strongest weapon isn't the biggest gun. It's the strategy your enemy doesn't expect. The Tevaran officers clicked to each other in their own language. Finally, Kral turned back to the humans. What are your terms? He asked. President Lee opened a folder and placed a document on the table. First, all Tevaran ships will leave Earth's solar system immediately. Second, you will share certain technologies with us as payment for your attempted invasion. What technologies? Kral asked. Your faster-than-light travel systems, Lee replied. Your shield technology, your medical advances, we don't want your weapons. We've proven we can handle those ourselves. Kral made a sound that the translator didn't interpret. It might have been a laugh, but there was no humor in it. And what do we gain from this agreement? He asked. Your ship's back, Tae-young said simply. We currently control your entire fleet. We could keep it if we wanted to. But more importantly, Dae-ho added, you gain knowledge. The knowledge that humans are not to be underestimated or attacked again. Kral's eyes moved from one human to another. And if we refuse these terms, General, Ji-won stepped forward, then we keep your ships and use them to visit your homeworld. We're quick learners, Commander. We've already figured out how to operate most of your technology. The room fell silent. Everyone knew this wasn't an empty threat. The humans had already proven what they could do with alien technology. After a long moment, Kral placed 2 of his 4 hands on the document. We accept your terms, he said. The Tevaran Collective will respect Earth's independence. We will provide the technologies requested, and you will carry a message back to your leaders, President Lee said. Tell them that Earth is not a world to be conquered. We are not primitive, despite what our technology might suggest. We are creative, adaptive, and determined. As the Tevarans left to prepare their remaining ships for departure, Dae-ho stood by a window overlooking the city. The massive Tevaran vessel that had once blocked the sun was now moving slowly away, heading for space. Admiral Tae-young joined him. Thinking about something, Captain? Just wondering what happens next, Dae-ho replied. Once we have their faster-than-light technology, The stars are open to us. What kind of humans will we be when we go out there? The same kind we've always been, Tae-young said. Curious, creative, sometimes kind, sometimes not, but always surprising. Dr. Subin entered the room, carrying a tablet with data scrolling across it. We've already started to understand their shield technology, she said excitedly. It's advanced, but not as different from our theoretical models as we thought. How long until we can reproduce it? Tae-young asked. Months, not years, Subin replied. And their faster-than-light drive is even more interesting. It doesn't break the laws of physics as we understand them. It just uses aspects we hadn't fully explored yet. Ji-un joined them, her eyes bright with excitement. Their computer systems are incredibly fast, but they've never developed AI or complex programming. They use raw processing power instead of elegant code. Different paths of development, Daeho said thoughtfully. They focused on physical technology, bigger, faster, stronger. We had to become cleverer, more creative. General Ji-won walked over, looking at a report on her phone. The last Tavaran ship will leave orbit tomorrow, she said. Commander Kral has requested a final meeting before he departs. What for? Tae-young asked. He didn't say. But I think he's curious. They've never been defeated before. The next day, Daeho and Tae-young met with Commander Kral in a small conference room. The Tavaran seemed different, less arrogant, more thoughtful. There is something I must understand before I leave, Kral said. We studied your broadcast for years. We saw your weapons in use in your many wars. We knew exactly what you were capable of. No, Daeho corrected him. You knew what we showed to each other, but humans always keep secrets, especially in warfare. We show our enemies what we want them to see, not everything we can do. But the neural interfaces, the cyber warfare, these didn't appear in any of your communications, Kral said, confusion in his voice. Because they were classified, Tae-young explained. Secret projects that only a few people knew about. Every advanced nation on Earth has technologies they don't reveal publicly. Kral's head tilted in what they now recognized as a gesture of respect. We have much to learn from your species, he admitted. You fight differently than any race we have encountered. That's the thing about humans, Daeho said with a small smile. We're full of surprises. As Kral's shuttle lifted off to rejoin his command ship, Daeho and Tae-young stood watching from the roof of the UN building. Above them, the sky was clear blue again, no longer darkened by alien ships. Do you think they've truly learned their lesson? Daeho asked. About humans specifically? Maybe, Tae-young replied. But the larger lesson is more important. Which is? Never judge a species only by what you can see, she said, looking up at the stars now becoming visible in the evening sky. The most dangerous weapon isn't always the most obvious one. In orbit, the last Tavaran ship prepared for the jump to faster-than-light speed. On board, Commander Kral was already composing his report to the collective leadership. It would contain a clear warning. The humans of Earth might not have the most advanced technology, but they had something perhaps more valuable, the ability to use what they had in ways no one could predict. And throughout the galaxy, as the defeated Tavaran fleet returned home, word began to spread of the small blue planet called Earth, home to a species that had done the impossible. They had beaten the unbeatable Tavarans not with superior firepower but with ingenuity the aliens never saw coming, until it was too late.